Okay, so we're gonna do another quick video today. Okay, hopefully quick. It's 2 pages worth. When I read it out loud, hopefully it'll be like 5 minutes or less. Just wanted to share what my first visit was like. The first time I ever visited he's my husband now, but back then he was my pen pal and friend and so on. And there was like a whole bunch of stuff that went into it. So basically, in order to visit someone at a California state prison, you have to ask for that person, the person who's incarcerated, the inmate, the prisoner, whatever you would like to call this individual. You have to ask that person that is incarcerated to send you a piece of paper that's like a regular size piece of paper. And you have to fill out the front and the back of that. So on the front and at the top, I think it asks, for you to fill in that person's full name, then your name and your relationship to this person, your address, and just there's a bunch of stuff that goes into this. But basically, when the individual mails you their visiting form, they have to sign the back of it and put the date. So they have to sign and date it and then mail it to you. Once you get it and you fill in your information and their information, and they'll ask you if you have a criminal history and et cetera, and then you sign the back of that piece of paper on I don't remember if it's the right or the left side of where they signed, and then you put the date, and then you mail it back to the visiting sergeant or the visiting department. It used to be that you could just mail it to the inmate. At least at Centinela, you would have been able to mail it to him directly. He wouldn't get it. Like, they would literally intercept it on the way, and they'd be like, oh, okay, visiting form goes to the visiting department. Yeah, you can't do that anymore, at least not at Centinela. So now you just mail it in to the visiting department. If you don't know which one is your visiting department for the prison that you're planning on visiting, all of that information would be online. Under the information would be for CDCR.ca.gov, and just Google search it for visiting. So my first visit, I visited him up north. So I stay in LA, and for the prison where he used to be at was in Susanville, and it was a 10-hour drive just to get there. So that means a 10-hour drive up and a 10-hour drive back. That is 20 hours round trip. We did not ever just go like in one day for just one visit, because if you're visiting from LA, you usually go to the prison in Susanville. You just stay there for back in the day, it used to be like a 2-day visit, which is you could visit on Saturday, you could visit on Sunday, and that was it. Nowadays, I believe the state prisons in California now have 3 days for visiting, which is Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So there you go. All right. So the first time I visited my loved one, let's just say a little bit of my background. I have been sheltered by my parents my whole entire life, for the sake of my safety. And so I'd never really met anyone that was in prison before. And I moved out to California the second time I've moved out here in November/December of 2017. Now, prior to this, my friend and pen pal in prison, we'd been writing to each other for about 5 years. Letters via snail mail, that is, through the U.S. Postal Service, the kind that require writing a whole page letter or whatever, addressing an envelope, putting a stamp on it, all that good jazz. So here's my little side note. I said, OMG, forever stamps cost right now like 73 cents right now. And my mind is blown, because I swear that I remember pink rose stamps when I was little, and they cost like 23 cents or something like that. And also, gas has gone up recently, like exponentially, since the orange blob got into the power. Oh yeah, I'm not a fan of that individual, just so y'all know. So we wrote letters back and forth for 5 years. He wrote to me long, funny letters, and I wrote back short, tiny letters on cute stationery whenever I could. Because when we first started writing to each other, I was starting university, so back in 2012. And I went to the University of South Florida, USF, go Bulls, not to be confused with the University of San Francisco, which shares the same initials. There's another little note that I put on here of, because I had never visited anyone in prison before, that's why I made that first video that has the 3.4 thousand views. Again, thank you for all the views, which I mistakenly said 44,000 in my last video, so sorry about that. Because I'd never visited anyone in prison before, I was super nervous, and when I face the unknown, I do as much research as I possibly can. So on the day of our visit, I looked up the rules about dress code at the prison, and that's why I made the second video that I made that was yesterday. Well, the 15th, today's the 16th officially. God knows when I'll get around to uploading this one, sorry. What you can and cannot bring and wear to a CDCR prison was daunting. See, his mother could have told me, she could have informed me, but she didn't, and I literally didn't have anything that I deemed appropriate, so I ended up wearing a lavender pajama shirt that easily passes a regular just long sleeve shirt. P.S. It gets cold in Susanville, California in late December. This was in late 2017. So I met him and we hugged and we talked a lot, which he didn't seem to mind. at the time. His mom was right there, and so were his nieces, ages 5 and 10 at the time, and they mostly just played in the play area. So for 3 days, a rarity back then due to a holiday, we got to know each other better. I bought a dress for New Year's Day, and at the end of that visit, we hugged and I was sad, and he said he licked my face. I don't remember that. And really, he said he really wanted to kiss me. I really wanted to kiss him too. Wanted me to kiss him, I wanted him to kiss me, whatever. We wanted to kiss. But again, his mom and nieces were like right there, so I kind of felt like that's weird. So we didn't. And then some lady, I again had never been to a prison before. I didn't know what the protocols were. So when some random lady comes up to me and like she's a fellow visiting person as well, and she's like, "Oh, is that your mom?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure, whatever. Sure, it's my mom," which is actually his mom, not my mom at all. And then she asked if his nieces were my daughters. I'm like, yeah, those are my daughters, whatever. I'm really into lying to strangers when I don't know what's required of me or what am I supposed to say, what am I not supposed to say. So I totally lied to that lady. That was funny later on when we actually got married, because it was the mom of one of his friends, and she's like, "What do you mean? He's getting married to his sister?" And he's like, "What? That girl that visits him is not his sister." She's like, "That's what she told me." Like on my first visit, I'm like, "I'm not his sister." I'm so not. So she was appalled that we were getting married, but again, she didn't know that I lied to her and that I totally was not his sister, like not even remotely close. I have done my parents' DNA and stuff like that, and I've jokingly told him like, "Hey, what if I was your sister or some kind of relative of yours?" He's like, no way, you wouldn't be able to hold that on to that like nugget of information. You wouldn't be able to keep that inside. And he's right, because he knows me so well. And yeah, I would never be able to keep in that information if we were somehow like third cousins 6 times removed or whatever. I would never be able to hold that information if I did know if we were related. So yeah. All right. Hope everyone has an awesome day. Talk to you guys later. Bye.